Let's look at the history of a cardinal.
Etty has made about 50 Cardinals cassocks, which can take up to 4 days to make and costs around $1,500 a piece, each using Italian scarlet silk. He spends some time explaining the fine details of each cassock.
Qui abbiamo la mozzetta.
Here we have the mozzetta, the rochette and the cassock. The mozzetta is the symbol of a cardinal, just as the color purple for a bishop. The rochette is used for various functions. This is quite a simple one. Usually it's in lace. And underneath is the cassock, which is made in different colors. In this case of a cardinal, it's red, purple for bishops, and black for ordinary priests, but generally the basis is always the same.
Generalmente la base è sempre la stessa.
And Etty, as you just explained to me, there's so much symbolism in this costume. The color, the red, representing the blood that a cardinal would shed to defend his faith. And then these buttons, there are 33 buttons, and they represent the age at which Jesus Christ was crucified.
Cardinal, a member of the Sacred College of Cardinals, whose duties include electing the Pope, acting as his principal counselors, and aiding in the government of the Roman Catholic Church throughout the world. Cardinals serve as chief officials of the Roman Curia, the papal bureaucracy, as bishops of major dioceses, and often as papal envoys. They wear distinctive red attire and addressed as Eminence and are known as Princes of the Church. Scholars have disagreed about the origin of the title. There is, however, tentative consensus that the Latin word cardinalis, from the word caldo, pivot or hinge, was first used in the late antiquity to designate a bishop or priest who was incorporated into a church for which he had not originally been ordained. In Rome, the first person to be called cardinals were the deacons of the 7 regions of the city at the beginning of the 6th century, when the word began to mean principal, eminent, or superior. The name was also given to the senior priests in each of the title churches, the parish churches of Rome, and to the bishops of the 7 sees surrounding the city. By the 8th century, the Roman cardinals constituted a privileged class among the Roman clergy. They took part in the administration of the Church of Rome in the papal liturgy. By decree of a synod of 768, only a cardinal was eligible to become pope. In 1059, during the pontificate of Nicholas II, 1059 to 61, cardinals were given the right to elect the pope. For a time, this power was assigned exclusively to the cardinal bishops, but the Third Lateran Council, 1179, gave back the right to the whole body of cardinals. The cardinals were granted the privilege of wearing the red hat by Innocent IV in 1243 to 54. In 1244 or 1245, it has since become their symbol. In cities other than Rome, the name cardinal began to be applied to certain ecclesiastics as a mark of honor. The earliest example of this occurs in the letter sent by Pope Zacharias, 741 to 752. In 747 to Pipin III, the Short, ruler of the Franks, in which Zacharias applied the title of the priests of Paris to distinguish them from country clergy. This meaning of the word spread rapidly, and from the 9th century, various episcopal cities had a special class among the clergy known as cardinals. The use of the title was reserved for the cardinals of Rome in 1567 by Pius V, 1566 to 1572, and Pope Urban VIII between 1623 to 1644, granted them the official style of eminence in 1630. The Sacred College of Cardinals, with its structure of three orders, bishops, priests, and deacons, originated in the form of Pope Urban II between 1088 to 1099. These ranks within the college do not necessarily correspond to a cardinal's rank of ordination. For example, the bishop of the diocese, such as New York City or Paris, may be a cardinal priest from the time of the Avignon papacy, 1309 to 77. The question of the lack of internationally in the College of Cardinals became an increasingly important one. A reform under Pope Sixtus V between 1585 to 1590 attempted to provide for it. The question continued to be raised at various times, particularly in the second half of the 20th century. The cardinal bishops are the successors of the bishops of the sees just outside Rome. There were 7 of these sees in the 8th century, but the number was later reduced to 6. Prior to 1962, each of the cardinal bishops had full jurisdiction in his own see. Since then, however, they preserve only the little without any of the functions which pass to a bishop, actually resident of the see. In 1965, Pope Paul VI, who reigned from 1963 to 1978, created cardinals from among the Eastern Catholic patriarchs and arranged that they should become cardinal bishops of the title of the patriarchal sees. The second and largest order of the College of Cardinals is that of the cardinal priests, the successors of the early body of priests serving in the little churches of Rome. Since the 11th century, this order has been more conspicuously international than the order of the cardinal bishops and deacons, including the bishops of important sees from throughout the world. The cardinal deacons are the successors of the 7 regional deacons. By the 10th to 11th century, there were 18 deaconaries in the city, and the reform of the Pope Urban II assigned a cardinal deacon to each of them. Originally, the order was limited to those who had advanced no further than the diaconate. Later, legislation prescribed that a cardinal deacon be at least a priest. Pope John the 23rd, who led the church between 1958 to 1963, and Pope Paul VI, after appointing cardinal deacons who were not bishops, immediately consecrated them bishops. The Pope alone appoints or creates cardinals in the 3 orders of the cardinal bishops, cardinal priests, and cardinal deacon. All of them are bishops in accordance with the ruling of Pope John the 23rd by announcing their names before the College of Cardinals in a private consistory, a meeting of ecclesiastics, especially the College of Cardinals for the administration of justice and other business. These newly named cardinals then receive the red biretta and the ring symbolic for the office in the public consistory. Sometimes the bishop appoints cardinals in pectore, Latin in the breast, pectore in Latin, and it means in the breast, without declaring their names. Only when the name of the cardinal in pectore is revealed does he assume the rights and duties of the office. In 1586, Pope Sixtus V fixed the total number of the cardinals at 70, of whom 6 were cardinal bishops, 50 were cardinal priests, and 14 were cardinal deacons. In 1958, Pope John the 23rd, who is now a saint, eliminated the restriction of 70, increasing the number of cardinals to 87, and since then, the number has reached more than 100. Under the influence of the Second Vatican Council, 1962 to 65, and recognition of the need for greater internationalization of the College of Cardinals, Pope Paul VI, now a saint, and Pope John Paul II, now a saint, between 1978 to 2005, appointed many new cardinals. Under Paul, there were 145 cardinals, and under John Paul, there were 185 cardinals, nearly all of whom had been appointed by him. The growth of the college, however, prompted the imposition of the new restrictions of the cardinalate. In 1970, Paul VI directed that cardinals who reached age 75 are to be asked to resign, and those who do not resign are to relinquish the right to vote for the Pope when they reach age 80. Paul further decreed that the number of voting cardinals be limited to 120. This restriction was confirmed during the pontificate of John Paul II. In 1996, a new set of rules issued by John Paul II Saint provided that under certain circumstances, the long required majority of 2/3 for election of a pope could be superseded by a simple majority. Pope John Paul's successor, Benedict XVI, now the late, however, restored the traditional requirement of 2/3 majority in 2007. That was a history of a cardinal. Let's look at the first cardinals of the East African countries like Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We shall start with Uganda. The first cardinal of Uganda was Emmanuel Nsubuga, was born on 5th November 1914, passed away on the 20th of April 1991. He was the first Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala from 1966 to 1990 and a cardinal from 1976 until his death. He was an opponent of human rights abuses of the military dictatorship of Idi Amin. During Amini's rule, Cardinal Nsubuga spoke against the government's human rights abuses. He also encouraged priests and nuns throughout the country to shelter people fleeing harassments by the army during the civil war that later raged during the government of Milton Obote. He was succeeded in 1990 as Archbishop of Kampala by Emmanuel Cardinal Wamala, who became a cardinal in 1994. His Eminence Emmanuel Cardinal Nsubuga was appointed on the 5th of August 1966. His term ended on 8th February 1990. His predecessor was Bishop Vincent Billington and successor was Emmanuel Cardinal Wamala. Other posts, he was Cardinal Priest of Santa Maria Nuova 1976 to 1991. His ordination was on the 15th of December 1946 and consecrated Archbishop on 30th October 1966 by Laurean Cardinal Rugambwa. He was created a cardinal on 24th May 1976 by Pope Paul VI, who is now a saint, and his rank was a cardinal priest. He was born Emmanuel Nsubuga 5th November 1914 at Kisule, Uganda, Busubizi Parish, Kinamityana Diocese. The first cardinal of Kenya was Maurice Michael Otunga, was born in January 1923 and died 6th September 2003. He was a Kenyan Catholic prelate and cardinal who served as the Archbishop of Nairobi from 1971 until his resignation in 1997. Pope Paul VI, who is now a saint, elevated him into the cardinalate in 1973 as the cardinal priest of San Gregorio Barbarigo alle Tre Fontane. Otunga was the son of a tribal chief and denied taking his father's place so as to pursue a path in the priesthood after completing his studies at home and in Rome. He was made a bishop in 1950s and then transferred to a new diocese at its head. He later was transferred to Nairobi and was a participant in the Second Vatican Council. Otunga was known for his vehement opposition to the use of condoms and twice in the 1990s burnt boxes of condoms before the faithful. He explained that contraception was in breach of the Christian teaching and that it was in opposition to Human Vitae, issued in 1968. He was also a vocal critic of abortion and was critical of priests who involved themselves in social and political controversies. His cause of canonization has commenced, and he has been titled as a servant of God. His term ended on 14th May 1997, and his predecessor was Bishop John Joseph M.C. Carthe. His successor was Raphael Simon Cardinal Ndingi Mwananzechi. He was a cardinal priest of San Gregorio Barbango Aletre Fontane, 1973 to 2003. Ordination was 3rd October 1950 by Pietro Fumasoni Biondi. Consecration was 25th February 1957 by James Robert Knox. He was created Cardinal 5th March 1973 by Pope Paul VI. His rank was Cardinal Priest. Now let's look at the first Cardinal of Tanzania. The first Cardinal of Tanzania was Laurean Rugambwa. Was born on 19th March 1921 to an affluent family of Bakongo, Tanganyika, now Tanzania. He was baptized with his parents at the age of 8. He was consecrated to the priesthood on 12th December 1943 by Bishop Bulkaldo Huwila, Missioner of Africa. After training at Katigono National Seminary in Uganda, Rugambwa then worked as a missionary in West Africa until 1949, when he moved to Rome to pursue his PhD in canon law at the Pontifical Urbaniana University. Rugambwa was named Fabiana, titular bishop and the very first Lower Kagera Apostolic Vicar on December 13th, 1951. On 10th February 1952, he was consecrated as Africa's youngest bishop by Archbishop David Matthew, with Bishops Joseph Blamjous, Joseph Chiwanuka, Missioner of Africa, acting as the co-consecrators. Rugambwa was appointed bishop by Pope Pius XII on 25th March 1953, when his apostolic vicariate was upgraded to a diocese in the consistory of 28th March 1960. Pope John the 23rd made him cardinal priest of the S. Francesco Aripa. He was the contemporary era's first native African cardinal. His diocese was named Bukoba on 21st June the following year. Laurean Cardinal Rugambwa was a progressive who attended the Second Vatican Council between 1962 to 1965. He was a fervent proponent of internationalizing the Roman Curia. He was a proponent of inter-Christian ecumenism as well. Cardinal Rugambwa was a major participant in the implementation of Vatican's reforms in the Papal Conclave that elected Pope Paul VI in 1963. He was one of the cardinal electors. On 19th December 1969, he was appointed Archbishop of Dar es Salaam, and in August and October 1978, he took part in the conclaves that installed Popes John Paul I and John Paul II, respectively. Cardinal Rugambwa retired as Archbishop of Dar es Salaam on 22nd July 1992, following 23 years of service, and during that time he established the first Catholic hospital in Ukonga called Cardinal Rugambwa Hospital, and the Little Sisters of St. Francis of Assisi, a female Roman Catholic religious institution. Laurine Cardinal Rugambwa died at the age of 85 in Dar es Salaam after his bones were relocated from a parish church in the Kagera region. He was laid to rest in the Cathedral of the Bukoba Diocese. Only two cardinals, Franz Kong and Raul Silva Henriquez, were created by John the 23rd after his death. May he rest in eternal peace. So we have just looked at the first cardinals of 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. But there are more cardinals, most of them are dead, so we shall have the details of another video for the cardinals in Eastern Africa. Just await that video, which is coming your way soon, and I hope you'll enjoy and have more information about our dear cardinals in East Africa. Lady Justin is my name. Please kindly share, like, follow, and don't forget always to subscribe, because the channel has got a lot of Catholic content, Catholic information that you'll never get bored. Thank you, and kindly keep watching. God bless you. God